What's up, guys? Here with you with FC Wonderkid, episode 59. Here with my guy, Fredson. How are you?
Oh, I'm in this like weird world where there's no club football and I feel depressed. But there's also this like international football that like Kevin De Bruyne doesn't really care about that I'm having trouble processing right now. Now, it's a weird thing, a purgatory we're in, but hey, football is football. It's been a good week. How are you doing?
I'm doing very, very well, and it's a Portugal day, so I'm hyped about that. And Nations League, it's the tournament that Kevin De Bruyne said it's not that important because it replaces friendlies, and I do understand. The man is tired. Okay, it was a long season, and because the best players are tired, teams like Belgium, England, France, Portugal, Spain, and Italy all didn't win their first round in the Nations League. So I understand why he's a bit mad. So yeah, a lot happened. A lot happened with.
I understand too, but like there were other teams going up against them. If you take the Dutch versus Belgium or you take Denmark versus France, they had the same long season. But no, I mean, we talk about it all the time, right? In terms of how congested the fixtures are for these guys and how just beat they must be. Yeah. And then to be told, hey, you're going to play the first round of a tournament that isn't going to culminate in an ending for how many months? True. Yeah, I think a lot of them had 1 foot in Ibiza and 1 foot on the European continent. But ultimately, wait, Ibiza is Europe. That was a dumb comment. But anyway, Nations League football, man, there were a lot of interesting results, as you mentioned. And all I got to ask you, I mean, more general before we go into the specifics is, was it just a mentality thing or is there cause for concern? Is there a changing of the guard amidst us right now with the Dutch beating up on Belgium for the most part, with Denmark coming back against France? And, a France that did have Mbappé, who left, I believe, a little bit injured, who did have Benzema, who scored a worldie in that game before Denmark came back. Yeah. Even Croatia, who, I get it, right? Croatia isn't necessarily seen as a world power, even though they did make the final,
True. Big up to
Austria. Ralf Rangnick. Come on, man.
Smile.
So we can go into the specifics and talk about some of the great players in each one of them. But the overarching question for me is, are things changing? Or is this just like a one-off fixture congested week? They'll all snap back when it actually counts. And they'll all bounce back.
Well, the team that I'm concerned, France, I don't know with the curse in the World Cup if they will bounce back. I'm not sure, but rest assured that they have the players for that to happen. I am not too worried, but I was always worried about Belgium's chances for that World Cup. But just keeping with France, Denmark. Yeah. Okay, Denmark is a team that I wanted to ask you your chance. What do you think are the chances for Denmark to be dark horses too in the World Cup? Because Denmark, unbelievable Euros, great team. Joachim Meili, what a game by him. Cornelius scored 2 goals too. So it's like really nice team overall. Denmark, a lot can happen with them, and I consider them a team rising, yes. But better than France. But Chouameni started for France too. So every single person that is watching the transfer market knows that every single club wants Chouameni, and Chouameni Kante was the midfield. So it was nice to see that. And the goal of Benzema was with a back heel, a beautiful back heel from Nkunku, that we had doubts if Nkunku was going to get an opportunity. And France seemed to go with the goal and assist involvements, crazy goal involvements of Nkunku, Mbappé, and Benzema front trio. Okay, it's guaranteed goals, as I said, and I'm hyped for that. But I think Konate, I just wanted to say this too. Konate has finally been selected for France, but he comes as a replacement for Varane that is leaving injured. So it's good to see Konate there. But just not like that, okay? Konate deserves to be selected. And hopefully in the World Cup, he's there, okay? Locked in, because he deserves to be there.
I'll tell you what. I mean, we could go through the list of center backs that France has at their disposal. And as we have always said when we try and analyze France's prospects, it's virtually impossible to know what 11 should be on the field at any given time. And that is going to be the hardest thing for them, because only 2 center backs, maybe 3, depending on a strategy shift, can play at a time. And there's just too much depth of talent. And that in time can probably cause you to overthink certain things. Now, it's a good thing that if France are losing, they're losing right now, right? And you hit the nail on the head. Denmark is a team. And that's often what we said. And that Christian Eriksen insanity, right, that happened during the Euros, I think has only hardened this resolve and made this team much closer to where they are literally just operating as a unit, right? Whereas France, I think, is doing the right thing. They are trying to inject some of this new quality into their setup, and that's going to take time. In fact, let me see, you know, how many months is it until Qatar? It's going to take that long for them to feel like they're humming again. And oh, by the way, they have to keep everybody healthy. But the silver lining, you're absolutely right, for France was Ibrahima Konate gets his first call-up, which is shocking, but well-deserved, and he should have been there in the first place. But also, you saw a little bit of Nkunku and what he can offer. You hit the nail on the head with that. But I do have to pause on Andreas Cornelius, because what a season this guy has had under the radar, right? Not many. Right? Yeah, he was at Trabzonspor, which we all know won the Super League. Yes. And he scored, I believe, 15 or 16 goals in that campaign. Am I saying you and I know everything about this guy? No. But ultimately, in an incredibly effective year, Denmark, who has pretty serviceable strikers, Yusuf Poulsen and some others that can, do the job. Cornelius got his 30 minutes to show what he could do, and he scores 2 goals, and Denmark winds up winning. So I really do believe that if there is a year that they can use that Euro 2020 craziness to their effect, to their team building effect, and I think Denmark's going to be one of the sleepers heading into Qatar. Absolutely do. I don't think they can win it, but I think you could see something like a great quarterfinal, semifinal run, and it would not be that insane. It would not be that insane to me.
I like that suggestion. And yeah, I agree with you. France, it's good that they're hitting their problems right now. And the center backs too. So many options. And I want to hint to Arsenal fans, calm down, okay? Saliba has said that he's going to return to Arsenal, okay? And he said, I'm going to be back at this club and I'm going to prove myself because I still have 0 games in the locker. So, for a great club. So, Saliba seems convinced that he's going to play with Arteta. So, conversation between Arteta and Saliba has happened. And I think the second guarantee for Arsenal fans that they have to get is Gabriel to stay. Yeah. But Saliba already there. Yeah, that's a player that if we're talking about France center backs, I see that Telefoot news. Straight away I remembered about that. But yeah, no Champions League football though for him. He deserved that, which with Marseille, but that didn't. But yeah, France, what are the contenders? Denmark, what are the dark horses? But there was a tournament, an international tournament that happened, and we had a winner, a new winner, with Argentina beating 3-0 Italy. That. Look, it's not a good time to be Italian, in my opinion, okay, with football, because these results, man, okay. Me being Portuguese, I just gotta say, I think I'm in a really good place. Going to the World Cup, Cristiano Ronaldo can do magic, okay. Seeing Messi doing that magic, I'm sure a little tingling feeling is in his stomach. But for Italy, man, they have to bet on the future, okay. So. Hey, it's not looking good for Italy, but Argentina, 32 games unbeaten. 32 games unbeaten, Argentina. Oh, my days. Argentina is looking scary. MESSI is on a mission, okay? But hopefully Ronaldo is on a bigger one.
Yeah, well, I gotta say it right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
If Messi wants to win the World Cup, they better get that loss out of the way. They better get that loss out of the way. They need a loss. They need it soon. I don't care if they schedule a game versus the Comoros or something and they lose it on purpose. They need, yeah, fine, right? They need a loss before they head into this World Cup, because the last thing you want to do is head into this World Cup seeming like you're unbeatable, because those never work out. Do I have the specifics on it? They never work out. I mean, think about how many all-time undefeated teams there are in many cases. But then on the flip side, if there is a team that can do it, it likely is a team led by Lionel Messi. And man, was he electric in that game. He had his fingerprint, his footprints on everything. He had 2 assists. It was a 3-0, right?
Yep.
Blowout. Obviously a team they should have taken care of. But yeah, Italy, from a mentality perspective, I can't even process. First off, I can't process what the players are going through.
Yeah.
But more specifically, I can't process what the fans are going through. And I just have to ask if there are any Italian fans that actually, that are listening to us. And I know there are, because I remember Euro 2020. Would you sacrifice on the altar a Euro 2020 win, that Euro 2020 win, for the ability to be in this 2022 World Cup? I really would love to know that, because I understand a trophy is a trophy, but 8 years plus without playing any World Cup football, that is crazy.
Oh my!
That is crazy.
I think Jorginho's never played. Jorginho's never played in the World Cup, I think. So that's a legacy there that's being tarnished with Italy, because he won the Euros, but World Cup football, that's what everybody thinks. So for Italy, it's weird. It's weird, but we got a youngster that in 5 minutes he wants to change the Azzurri's future, and Gnocto, right? I think he deserves a move to Serie A with that, right?
Willy Gnocto, he's had a heck of a move. Okay, he was I believe he was at Inter Milan, and moved over to the Swiss Super League for game time. And I love this kid, and I've been following him actually since he made his debut, or maybe made the bench as like a 15-year-old. I love this kid because he's tiny. Okay. If anyone sees me in person, they know I'm not a big person. I'm 5'6", which I don't know I don't know what they do over there. 1 meter, whatever. But I'm 5'6", right? I'm a tiny person. He is 5'3", 5'4". He's built like a tank, low center of gravity. He can move, and he showed it. He had 15, 20 minutes to show it for Italy, and he absolutely showed it. And he's only 18 years old. And I really hope that, Italy trusts this particular process. They did. They won a Euro 2020, but it doesn't get you to the World Cup. But this is where it starts, and this is what they got to think about. But I'll tell you what, Italy looked okay against Germany. They did.
True.
Right?
True. Germany. But Germany's that thing, that you can never sleep on Germany. Because I was even looking at the rosters, and me thinking Portugal compared to Germany. Thinking, we got a so much better team. But I know the moment I sleep on Germany, I'm committing a mistake, okay? So they still have players like Kimmich there, low-key. Oh, yeah. But, it was a 1-1. Italy, Germany. But, it was... I think that Gnocto was the highlight,
I think he was the highlight. There were a couple other debuts that happened, but Gnocto is definitely, in my opinion, one to watch, one we've been covering quite a bit for some time. But in the end, Argentina, Messi won his 40th all-time trophy, and within 10 minutes of the actual victory, I think Neymar trolled him, right, by saying, "Would they win the World Cup or something?" Who cares? And so give it to Neymar for basically saying, "Hey, we're still the better team on the continent," even though they've got. It's I want it personal. Come on, I mean, I want Neymar going at Messi's throat all the way up until if they meet in the final or they meet somewhere along the way. That is going to be absolutely epic.
Facts,
I mean, absolutely epic.
Facts. And with Argentina, just so I don't forget, with the Finalissima, yes, Messi, the star, everything happens through him. But I gotta say, Lautaro Martinez looked very good in my opinion. And I always had that doubt of when Aguero goes, who's gonna be that guy? Because Higuain was never that guy. Tevez, yes, played well, but Higuain was the player I would always think. I always thought he would do so much better with Messi. And Lautaro, I think, he is taking the points. And two other players too. Clean sheet for Argentina because they have Emiliano Martinez in goal and they have Cuti Romero in the center back, okay? For me, Cuti Romero is one of the players. No, Cuti Romero is definitely one of the reasons why Tottenham is in the top 4. And next season, Conte, when he does that planning, it's with Cuti Romero in that center back being one of the key roles of that team. And for Argentina, if they're going to win the World Cup, it's with these two players carrying at the back, Emiliano Martinez and Cuti Romero. So
absolutely. And Cuti, I don't know. We should probably do a list at some point. But if there was a center back that I would least likely to see, I would least want to see in front of me on a breakaway. Obviously, it wouldn't be a breakaway then.
Whoa.
But anyway, if I had to go 1v1, okay, Cuti Romero would be last on my list that I would want to face because that guy looks at you like he will. You're gonna die if you try to pass me. You're going to die, right? True. It's that simple. True. And that is a guy that you're gonna want him disciplined in the World Cup. But he is every bit of a potential legendary center back for Argentina. He's not there yet, but he's every bit that.
And he's learning there with Otamendi. What a leader, too. At Benfica, he's doing really good. And I got to say, too, last player from Argentina. And for me, one of the most underrated players in the last decade is Angel Di Maria, okay? And this is another player, if Argentina win the World Cup, is with surely with a high involvement of Di Maria because he's always there for Messi, scoring those key goals and moments, those movements going forward. Copa America. If Di Maria wasn't there, Copa America wouldn't have happened for Argentina. So I think if the World Cup happens too, it's with Di Maria saying that it will happen. So this is another player. I think he's the number 2 in importance in that Argentina team because he makes things happen. Okay, just like Lionel Messi. Di Maria.
Di Maria, he's a shows up in the finals merchant. He's the type of guy that he'll be quiet for their group stage games or something, but then when it hits a semifinal and they need a hero, or it hits the final and they need a hero, Di Maria will show up. So
PSG take notes. PSG take notes. Seriously. Like what?
And also you have to think about it this way. It does kind of seem like a last hurrah, right? For a Di Maria, for maybe not for a Messi, who knows, but it kind of seems like it. Maybe we'll see. So you got to think that Argentina, whether they head into it still unbeaten or not, though I hope that they don't head into it unbeaten, Argentina is going to throw everything they can at winning this final. It's literally whether or not they overthink it to the point of, I don't know, paralysis, whatever. But the Finalissima.
Word towards Messi. That's for sure. And we're just on Brazil, because I just want to say a thing here or there for Brazil. Sure. It's Neymar. You said it. Neymar against Messi. I completely agree. That is what Neymar has to ambition, okay? And 2, Neymar is 30. Neymar is 30. Brazil is in the best form I've seen Brazil in the last 4 years. They got Tite, a great coach for Brazil too. Like Neymar, it's now or never, okay? You are 30. The World Cup is in the end of the year. You only have I think it's 160 days. Work every single day so you have an enormous and beautiful legacy, okay, by winning a World Cup. Because if Neymar wins the World Cup, that's the moment Neymar says to the world, I'm dropping the mic and I'm a legend now. I am a legend. And he justifies all those years being behind Messi and Ronaldo by winning the World Cup for Brazil. He will be talked for all his life. I'm not saying he won't be if he doesn't get the World Cup, but if he gets it, he will definitely be talked differently. In the same sentence as Pelé, as the same sentence as Socrates. No, he's bigger. But you know what I mean? Wow. He's like the big legend. So,
well, you know, and it's been like South America in the World Cup has it's kind of for the continent too, because South America in the World Cup hasn't exactly lit the world on fire in the last 20 years or so, and Europe definitely has the upper hand. So it's
and when I see Brazil is like beforehand, I'd say, oh, you got Neymar. Now you say, oh, they got Vinicius Junior coming up. They got like even like Bruno Guimarães coming off the bench for me. Like for me, Bruno Guimarães should start ahead of Fred in that Brazilian national team. Okay, so it's like they're still building towards Anthony. Okay, he's on the bench. Rafinha started. Started. Look at all these options. Not even Martinelli. So bring Brazil a ton of options, and that's another thing too. Neymar has an amazing supporting cast. And he is the star of the show. And they all accept Neymar as the star of that Brazil national team. So now is the moment again. Bora Neymar, go bold.
Yeah, but absolutely. Now is the moment. But I don't know. All those names that you said there are incredibly promising. They're incredibly promising. But this is not a redux. This is not a redux of Romario, of Bebeto, of early days Ronaldo. This is not a redux of that yet. And that will be the most interesting thing, is who steps up. Because while Rafinha is great, Rafinha also was sucked into a relegation battle for Leeds United. We know he's better than that particular level, but ultimately it's whether or not, you know, he gets it done on the world's biggest stage, and man, oh man, is that closing in quickly. But before we move on from the Finalissima and talking about Brazil as well, you mentioned a name in there, right? You mentioned Carlos Tevez. And we should say goodbye to a legend if he's actually stepping aside, which it sounds like he is. After the death of his father recently, he just said, hey, I've lost my best friend. I've lost my biggest fan. And I believe he's hanging up his boots at the age of 38. So, you know, got to say goodbye to a legend there.
What a legend. Carlitos Tevez, man. I remember growing up, seeing West Ham getting him. I was like, what's happening over here? And he was a Corinthians, right? So with Kia at the time when he got Corinthians. Oh, man. So what an amazing career. An amazing career. City legend and United legend, Carlitos Tevez. Oh, well,
let's head back to Europe for a little bit, because there were a couple, right? A couple of these results, and we don't need to talk about the specifics of the results, but you mentioned one at the beginning, right? That Belgium is one of those ones where, like, it's now or never, right? We look at Belgium's prospects for the future, and it's bright, but is it as bright as De Bruyne was, as Lukaku was when they were coming through, right? Dries Mertens, and no, it's not. It's not that bright. I would not call this next generation a golden generation for them at all. And right now, you're starting to see cracks in that. Now, if De Bruyne went into that game, or a lot of those guys went into that game against the Dutch, feeling the same way Kevin De Bruyne did, that explains a lot, right? But the Netherlands, I think if there's one thing that game did, it shows that the Netherlands has to be taken seriously heading into this. And they've been waiting a long time for this, much like Italy waited to make their statement at Euro 2020 and then failed beyond that. But much like they did, the Dutch are ready to get back to the world's biggest stage, right? They are ready to show something. But I am a little surprised. At who is, in the end, leading the charge. Because you and I, while we like Memphis Depay, you and I are not exactly shouting at the rooftops saying, like, Memphis Depay is a legend. And yet, are you ready for this? With his brace against Belgium in a 4-1 win, he becomes the third all-time leading scorer in Dutch history.
Whoa!
I mean, like that's above Dennis Bergkamp. That's above Patrick Kluivert, right? These are not names. Yeah, he's one away from Huntelaar. Okay, so he is already. Come on, man, ruthless finisher. Even if he's not world class in other places, at his best, he was a ridiculous finisher. But Memphis Depay, I don't know. I mean, are we not putting enough respect on his name?
I think that's true. It is true, but it's just because he had one of those careers that we expected, a bit like Neymar. He had a ton of potential, leaving PSV to that 7 number with United. All eyes on me. You know what I mean? With the line at the back, the pie. I just feel like, for the Netherlands, we might see something special still happen. I think that's a good highlight you're doing. But at a club level, Barca needs to sell him to get those 20 million. So that's what but I feel you. I feel where you're coming from though. For the Netherlands, I do think he slept too. I do think he slept. And considering that I say Barca too has the decision for Depay, they had the decision too for Frenkie, and Frenkie in that game played in a role that I remember seeing him playing at Ajax more, okay? He had a lot more freedom. He dictated the tempo in midfield and not Busquets like at Barca. And he enjoyed that. He seemed fitted for the mold with Netherlands, with the national team. So seeing Frenkie at his best made me think, he's leaving. Warned by us, like since November. Since November, I've been saying that Frankie's gonna go. So it's like, it's gotta happen. It's gotta happen.
If not earlier. You said it, I think, before the financial hailstorm happened. But I'll tell you what. I mean, part of me really does want to see him at United. The issue is he's taking a step. It's weird to say, but he's taking a step down, doing that. So. If that happens, but De Jong, I mean, all the pieces here are in place. It is weird to me, and not to like push FDJ aside for a second, but Depay, right? There is a very good chance. In fact, I'm not even going to say there's a chance. There is almost a certainty that Memphis Depay ends his career in an Oranje shirt as the all-time leading goal scorer in Dutch history. Okay, that.
How many goals?
Weird for me to. I believe it's like 51, maybe. He's got like 41 or 42 right now, so he needs 9 or 10 more, and he will. I forget who's at the top, and I really should know.
Lucky Ronaldo isn't Dutch.
Yeah, seriously. But no, I mean, like this is like a thing, right? I mean, he's got 40 plus goals and 78 caps for the Dutch. And yet, when you think about him in the same light as Kluivert, as Bergkamp, as Huntelaar, it's really hard to see him as a better player. But I will give you just one more fun little tidbit here, okay? And I have to give this credit. This is poached from Scout Eredivisie on Twitter, so please go follow the guy. He's the one that put this together. 17 of the Dutch team's last 19 goals have been scored by somebody that has PSV Eindhoven pedigree. Okay? 17 of the last 19 goals. So you got Memphis Depay, you've got Bergwijn, you've got Denzel Dumfries, you've got Daniel Malen, you've got Arno Danjuma. I mean, we all think of Ajax as the development standard, right, in the Eredivisie, in the Netherlands in general. But you got to give a little credit to what PSV Eindhoven's doing here, okay? Because ultimately, every one of those guys is considered a baller in their own right. Danjuma is a late bloomer, but man, has he been phenomenal for Villarreal when he plays. So it is just funny to think, like, when you look at it, if the Dutch can get everything together where they get that Ajax, that PSV Eindhoven, that Feyenoord spine back to their team, right? They could be very good for many, many years to come. And I'm ready for that. I'm ready for that. I hope that comes back.
I think, and Erik ten Hag, he can boost that development by getting players like De Jong, Donny, and Timber together at Man United. That there's a possibility too. So I like that shout to the Netherlands, and I'm gonna give a shout to Norway, okay? Because Norway beats Serbia 1-0. And who was the goal scorer? Oh, by no surprise, Erling Haaland, okay? That has 18 caps for Norway, 16 goals already. And I don't know who's the Norwegian top goal scorer ever, but I'm sure Haaland knows, and he is eyeing up to be the Norwegian top goal scorer ever. But it's good to see. It's good to see Haaland getting that responsibility with Norway.
Yeah.
And Odegaard, Haaland, like the future of Norway is really good too. And I'm hyped about that too. And I just wanted to ask you, I saw this question trendy on Twitter, and it's a bold question to ask. And who do you believe will have more career goals at the end? Kylian Mbappé or Erling Haaland? Who do you think will have more goals at the end of their career? Kylian Mbappé or Haaland?
The age gap is what? It's about the same as Ronaldo and Messi, right? Like 2 years or a year and a half. Man. Haaland, I don't know. If he's already showing cracks with the injuries, I still think Mbappe.
Mbappe. So you're still going with Mbappe being the top goal scorer. He can surpass Ronaldo numbers maybe. He keeps
I mean, if it was per 90 minutes played, like if we're going to average it out, right, over the amount of time played, then I think Haaland has a better shot. But Mbappe, man, I don't know. Mbappe, to me, he's already like, it's just insane, his involvement level, right? And how important he already is. And he's still only 23 years old. And I think Haaland's going to get there. But I think Haaland is going to suffer from the same thing Ibrahimovic suffered on the international level longer term. They have a lot of phenomenal pieces on paper, but if Norway can't put it together, then you could spend the next 8-10 years of his career, never getting to actually play in front of the 2 billion plus that watch the World Cup. You're always going to be
playoffs. Like Ibra against Ronaldo, Sweden, Portugal.
Yes.
Those playoffs. Like, that was a World Cup game itself, man. The intensity, the tension. Man, but I feel you, though, with Haaland. I just believe that Norway, like, they really have a... Like, that's the thing. It's even with the under-21s, like, Norway's winning everything. But, the future of Norway...
The future of Norway it's like what Belgium, it's their golden generation. That's for dang sure. It's just whether or not they can put it all together. And so far they haven't, but they need to play more together, and they need Haaland to be healthy. And I was just racking my brain for who that all time, and I have a guess. I don't know if it's true, but wasn't there a guy, was it like Tor Andre Flo? You remember that name at all? I think he might have played for Chelsea for a while. He might have even played for Fulham. I don't know. But he was a hell of a player, if I remember correctly. Or John Carew, the 6'7" behemoth that I think played for Rosenborg and Aston Villa back in the day. Anyway, I'm showing my age here. But, hey, there was another one, and I only have a brief thing to really say about this. But come on, Ralf Rangnick's first game as an Austrian manager.
Smiling.
He leaves United. He ends his consultancy, and he's got the biggest smile on his face, beating Croatia 3-0. And it's just amazing. Like all of a sudden, you got a United team that can't score goals unless Ronaldo scores it. And then now you've got this Austrian team that goes up against a very good, generally Croatian spine, right? And you've got what's his name? Maximilian Wober, who plays for RB Salzburg, is looking like Franz Beckenbauer out there. You got Marcel Sabitzer, who couldn't see the field for Bayern, playing architect again. I mean, Konrad Leimer. Austria still has some pieces, but that's not what I'm talking about. The story is Ralf Rangnick gets his 3-0 win against Croatia, and let's be honest, that was surprising as hell. I was not expecting that at all. I know it was closer than that 3-0. But are there questions about Croatia? Everybody always talks about, oh, they're old and this and that. Well, we know they're not old. They still have one of the best midfields on paper heading into this World Cup. And who is it, right? It's Brozovic, it's Kovacic, and it's Modric, right? I mean,
oh my gosh, that's three great names. And even youngsters, Lovro Majer, I don't think he's a bad one. Like Perisic, you can always put Perisic in midfield if you need him. So it's like, they really have a great team. Great core too. So people, if we missed anything with the national teams, put down below. And players to highlight, players to watch for the World Cup. And who do you think was going to win the World Cup? Because that is always a conversation. But you mentioned Ralf Rangnick, the consultancy role that he's not going to have. And yes, it seems like Erik ten Hag wants to take the responsibility of the transfers. And I'm going to talk about it. Frenkie de Jong to Man United. As we had Fabrizio Romano revealing that Donny van de Beek, by no surprise, is a very important piece for the future of Man United. So I'm increasingly getting the vibe that Frenkie is really going to Man United. Meu Deus.
I don't know why he would, from a sporting perspective, but then again, you know, I don't know, man. But you know, this Donny van de Beek, even if Fabrizio Romano saying it makes it virtually a lock, right? But we've heard this. We've heard this before. We actually heard it when Ralf Rangnick came in that, oh, yeah, Rangnick really understands what Van de Beek can do, and he's going to blah, blah, blah. I think, to be honest, something might be wrong with Donny van de Beek.
I believe Eric, though. He can do magic with Donny, though. Don't you reckon? You don't
he's not a wizard. He's not a wizard yet.
Love it.
I don't know, man. I don't know. And this is coming from Donny van de Beek. When Ajax made that run in the Champions League, Donny van de Beek was just amazing. He was a core part of that. I mean, he was had his that De Jong, that everything, the league, that whole team was just so much fun. And Van de Beek was a massive part of that. Would I love to see it? 100%. I want to see him out of the cold and playing football, but he couldn't even have an impact on Everton. Okay, I don't know what's up,
Lampard
but if you're trying to rescue him for financial reasons and to give him some value, or he has no value, I guess, on the open market right now. So basically, you're left with having to rehabilitate him from a footballing perspective. I hope it can happen, but Erik ten Hag has bigger fish to fry, right? He has bigger decisions than trying to get Van de Beek to be whatever guy we're all painting him as. But he's got bigger fish to fry. And unfortunately, I think for Van de Beek, he's going to, again, fall by the wayside. And I don't think he's going to be a part of United in the next year or two.
I believe he's going to play Breton, though. I believe in Donny. I'm going to believe in Donny. And yes, I do understand the doubts, though. I really do. But I think Donny's going to be key. And I do think he's going to be a rotation role with James Gardner. I think James Gardner will be in that role, too. On the bench, definitely. And yeah, Frenkie de Jong, though, I just want to highlight, though, it's a risk for Erik ten Hag, okay? He comes in, first transfer, 80 million. 80 million, okay? That's a huge risk, okay? Straight off the bat. So the expectations are high. But so Man United fans, you need time for change. So it's with transfers, though, that I see going Frenkie. That's a good move, in my opinion. Then Mate may be leaving. Pogba's leaving. So the fact that I see Eriksen coming to Man United news, that for me, Eriksen rotating with Bruno Fernandes, there's some games I know Eriksen would be better than Bruno Fernandes, okay? Making those decision makings with the tempo. Maybe not in goal involvements, okay? He's not better than Bruno, but playing, Eriksen can be better in certain games, definitely, still at his age. So I believe he wants an Ajax core there. Imagine if United can get Donny, Frenkie, and Eriksen. And Eriksen at a certain stage. Erik ten Hag plotting over there. That Ajax vibe.
I just don't know why he didn't maybe from the get-go try and hijack the Ryan Gravenberch to Bayern deal. Because man, that would be a piece for long term. He would, I know, and that really does come down to who the agent is, or was, I should say. Yeah. But ultimately, what you just mentioned, right? Mata leaving, and then you've got others like Wan-Bissaka, who obviously is not in the midfield. I mean, you are talking about a whole lot of financial latitude that United is going to have, because with Pogba out of here, which I'm sure you might have a few more comments on, that's almost, I believe, almost £1 million a week. Oh, a week? Or is it a month? I think it's a week. That's getting wiped off the wage bill there. So I think he's going to have his wish. The issue is, how long is it going to take to gel? And who's even left behind, right? For the most part, like, who is workable that is left behind? But yeah,
in midfield, you got Fred. Fred can play too with Erik ten Hag. I believe Sancho is going to be ridiculous with Erik ten Hag. I think night and day. So that's the thing. Like, Erik ten Hag has a huge job to just improving all these assets, all these values. And you touched the subject with that. And Maguire. I think Maguire is another asset that everybody's looking at and saying, we need to improve his value because we got him for 85 million. Like, we need to solve this problem. And I think Ten Hag is already solving it by taking the captaincy role off Maguire straight away, because it's too much responsibility for him to handle, in my opinion. Okay, so that's a good start. That's a good start.
Yeah. What, you wanted to go to Ronaldo?
I think Ronaldo would be the best one, yeah. Ronaldo, yeah. I think he's going to stay or De Gea. Or De Gea. But he's going to stay one more year. So he was best player. United said he's the best player this season, which no surprise, man. No surprise. 24 goals, carrying the team in the Champions League. Oh.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. It is amazing to me. I mean, you brought up Harry Maguire, as you tend to do. You love to bring up Harry Maguire. It is just amazing to me how many of these like high-profile moves, these like large, most expensive defender ever, right? When all is said and done, like how many of these actually wind up being worth it, right? Because we're, I don't mean to transition away from United, but like obviously we've got Lukaku coming out now, or doing it through the media, saying he wants to leave again, and you're now looking at Chelsea holding the bag on this 110 whatever it was million euro deal. And I'm just like, if you go back through the annals of time and you look at all of these transfers that have happened that were massive transfers, how many of them in retrospect would have actually been worth it? At least when you spend 100 million on a Ronaldo, you'll make back the majority of that in jersey sales. Right? Even if he's a dud on the field, which he's never been. Never. But with like a Lukaku here, okay, there probably are a lot of jersey sales there too, even if he's not the name that Ronaldo is. But at the same time, I mean, we've now got Grealish, we've got Hazard, we've got Bale, although Bale won them a lot of trophies, so, whatever. And
Neymar,
Pogba.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Dembele, like Griezmann. There's just so many that are in that top 10 or top 15 that you're just kind of like.
Yeah, it makes you think that you don't want to make a big move. Coutinho. Oh, Coutinho was a tough one. But Liverpool, though, proves that when they make a big move with Alisson and Van Dijk, it's with a lot of scouting decision-making. And that with United, you never got that feeling that, oh, they got that move. Oh, great scouting. Maybe Dalot with Mourinho, because Mourinho really wanted Dalot, as it seemed at the time. That was a good move in terms of scouting. But ever since then, like, I don't see United making a lot of decisions that took a lot of scouting in them. So I agree with what you're saying. Maguire is a clear example of what I'm saying right here. So... And Nkunku, not even having files on him, that is a soft topic, I think. It should be for United fans. But mentioning Frenkie de Jong going to United, so the money is going elsewhere, okay, to Barca, which they are desperate to get it. But we have Fabrizio Romano saying that no way other clubs are gonna get Lewandowski, and it's a guaranteed transfer this summer. Lewandowski and Barcelona, and yeah, it's the all-in of Laporta this summer. And I feel like the second deal that Laporta really wants, it's Rafinha.
Yeah.
Barca needs to get Rafinha and Lewandowski, okay? But I think with Rafinha, they can't give more than 40 million. So that.
But like, what money's going to be left over for what actually needs to be addressed, and that's the defense.
I think they're not going to invest too much, I'll be honest with you. I think free agents is going to be more of the investment with the defense. I do believe that there was a lot of news with a big caliber like Koulibaly. Koulibaly was the news in the past. But seeing the financial situation, like, if I was Barca, focus on renewing Gavi. Okay, Gavi has to stay at Barca after seeing that game against Spain. Destroying Portugal midfield, Gavi. That has to be the renewal that they prioritize, especially if Tchouaméni goes to Real Madrid. Liverpool is definitely interested in Gavi. Definitely, okay? Because Gavi at Liverpool would be just amazing. He'd fit the bill amazingly with Klopp, okay? And
or should Liverpool take PK? Okay, I'm not going to make these jokes. I shouldn't make these jokes. We don't need to talk about that.
But PK, he has a decision that 80 million Barca has to pay to PK. 80 million or retire. And it's like a decision that has to go through. Like, I think it's financially he has to retire or he gets the 80 million. So, like, oh my gosh, like a lot of money from the captains, man. From the captains, like seeing the captains in the past few years for Barca. You see Sergio Roberto there, Alba, Piqué. Man, you see the spirit just leaving the club. And that's what Xavi wants to just boost this back. With having a Lewandowski there, not an elder, but an aging player that wants to win. Dani Alves too even wants to win more than PK maybe. So it's
you know, you could sign Lewandowski up. You can sign whoever you want up, and yet for Barcelona, the most excited I'm going to get in the transfer market for them is one they've already made, and that's Pablo Torre. I can't wait for this kid, right? I feel like he is another Pedri in the making. Different feel, different position. But if you get a chance, go look up, not you in general, Alex. I know that you know who Pablo Torre is, but definitely those that are listening, go check out Pablo Torre because he will be in there. It was a very calculated, smart move by the Barca folk. And I really do think he's going to wind up being another phenomenal find for them. So I don't know. I like Lewandowski. You're right. You said this a long time ago, although you were trying to push Haaland on me. You were trying to push Haaland to Barca on me for a while.
I was trying to push that to myself, I'll be honest with you. But Barca saw that they didn't even have the money. Laporta was fast to go out of the Haaland news. So, but yeah, I feel it. I got that one wrong, definitely. Well,
I mean, what do you think Lewandowski's good for? Do you think he can do 40 in La Liga or 35 in La Liga, or do you think it's more like 20 to 25?
Oh, I think if Barca gets Lewandowski, I think Lewandowski is definitely going to be in the top 3 for the Ballon d'Or next season. That is definitely in the top 3 for the Ballon d'Or next season. Yeah,
and here's what I see.
It's the rivalry La Liga needs. Like,
that's bold.
Like they need Benzema to go bold at Real Madrid, and they need Barca at Lewandowski just going bold to an iconic rivalry building. Because Florentino Perez wants a strong Barca in the league. Yeah. He needs a strong Barca. Because if there's no strong Barca, there's no ratings. Nobody tunes into La Liga if Real Madrid's just going to win it every year. Easily. Yeah. So you need a strong Barca.
And Diego Simeone's just going like, what the heck? Not again. But I'll tell you what, I honestly do believe if Lewandowski signs, and it certainly sounds like he's going to for Barcelona, I honestly think that it's Aubameyang that could wind up being one of the leading, if not the leading scorer for them. I just think it's one of those attention paid type of situation in La Liga. There's generally more of I don't know how to put it tactically,
I
but I honestly feel like so much attention will be paid on Lewandowski that it will be Aubameyang just cleaning up the mess every time.
I think they'll play both at a certain time, because I
Yeah,
remember Dortmund played Lewandowski and Aubameyang. I remember growing up and seeing them both play together at Dortmund. So I believe
yeah,
tactics can be done for that, and options. And with Dembele leaving, yeah,
yeah,
and that's much more of an opportunity for that to happen. But Rafinha,
yeah.
come on, go to Barca. Rafinha to Barca is the best one. Fati, Lewandowski, and Rafinha. That is the
That's
attacking.
beautiful.
That's the attacking trio that Barca fans should want to see.
Mhm.
But if Lewandowski is going to Barca, Bayern Munich, we all see the news non-stop now that Sadio Mané to Bayern Munich, Sadio Mané to Bayern Munich. But there's another player that I want to highlight, and you mentioned when you talked about Austria, and I think Konrad Laimer will go to Bayern Munich, because Julian Nagelsmann is a huge fan of Konrad Laimer, and he needs that role. He needs that role at Bayern Munich fixed, okay? And Laimer will do that with Bayern Munich. And I think Gravenberch, Laimer, Mazrui. So Bayern Munich are starting to do bits in the transfer market too. So it's looking good. Mane, if Mane happens.
I know. And hey, let's just. I know it's not transfer related, but let's talk about Sadio Mane for 1 second, because in AFCON qualification, he scores a hat trick. He becomes the all-time leading scorer for Senegal. So this guy has had himself one hell of a season, to the point where I know it seems like he's leaving, right? He's definitely leaving. He's basically stated he's leaving. And yet for some reason, right, there hasn't really been much progress in him actually leaving just yet. But it is still absolutely amazing to me that what he has done for African football and for obviously Senegal in general. I mean, this AFCON win, right? And he just had a hat trick just casually. I think it was 2 penalties in order to overtake it. So wherever Sadio Mane goes, I hope he picks the right next step for him. But there is going to be a big gap in that Liverpool line. It's going to need to be plugged by somebody. And I just got to ask you, who do you think it's going to be?
I love how you led up to that, and that's a huge vacancy, true. And I think Liverpool are considering a replacement, definitely, because we already see a bunch of news of the Captain America that is gonna reunite with Jurgen Klopp. You reckon, Branson, at Liverpool?
Yeah, you know, I hope so. I like this. I like this move. I mean, there is always the threat, just like it was at Chelsea, and with Tuchel, you're not on form, you're injury prone, you're this. You might become a rotational, you know, Takumi Minamino or something. But ultimately, I think Christian Pulisic, Jurgen Klopp can get the best out of Christian Pulisic. I don't know if you saw it was a friendly, but him versus Morocco, he was Captain America. He was that over-the-head touch. We call that the Willie Mays, except it was with his foot. And he was back to his best self. And I do think that could be a very good move for him. But, you know, he's going to have the question mark of injuries, whether or not he can stay healthy. And I don't know if you look at Sadio Mane and you look at Mo Salah and you look at Luis Diaz, their injury history, you know, isn't that crazy. And then you add in Roberto Firmino, and yeah, there's a lot of injuries there. But you need somebody sturdy to be able to play under Klopp, and I wonder if they'll do it. I like it.
I have 5 names, so including Pulisic, that can be the replacement for Sadio Mane at Liverpool. So the first one, let's go, Christian Pulisic. Second, I think is a strong possibility, is Rafinha, that I was mentioning with Barca. Third, Anthony. I think Anthony for Ajax is definitely a possibility to go to Liverpool. Then fourth, I'd say Nkunku, because we all know that Liverpool love a player from Red Bull's Leipzig, because we also happen with Konate and Klopp with the Jaeger pressing that he plays. Like Leipzig makes a lot of sense. And the last player is staying in the league, but I feel like Klopp has been looking at him too, and there's a possibility for Liverpool to get him. It's a bit out there, but it's Jared Bowen, okay? Jared Bowen, I think, would be another player that Liverpool would snatch up and would just make a much better player than he actually is. So I think those would be the 5 players that could replace Sadio Mané at Liverpool. I think one of those. I think
all good names, and I honestly do believe that. I think that Jared Bowen one has gotten shot down so many times by internet warriors out there defending the fact that Jared Bowen would never go from West Ham to Liverpool. But man, does it also seem to fit in some respects. And I'll tell you what, that England-Hungary game, if there was one silver lining for England, it was probably Jared Bowen getting his cap and also looking like the only person on the field that really wanted to actually go for goal. So I don't mean to spend too much time on it because I don't think Jared Bowen will go to Liverpool, but I like that more than I probably should. And I just like Jared Bowen. The more I watch Jared Bowen play, sure, he has his limitations, but he's the perfect blend of I don't know, overcompensating for skills he doesn't have and having enough skills to actually, get something done, if any of that makes sense. He's like a blue collar player. He's very, very good. Very good.
I agree. And Klopp with work rate players. It's just always a really good mix with those two. And there's a player that I could have said to Liverpool, but I didn't with the wingers. I know someone is screaming at home saying, "You should have said Gnabry." I didn't say Gnabry to Liverpool. No. Because I believe, that Arsenal have a chance to sign Serge Gnabry with Arteta, okay? I think there's a project there that can convince Gnabry, and I believe that will happen too. So that's why I didn't mention Gnabry with the wingers. So I just wanted to say that too. And Dembele,
or maybe
too. Dembele I didn't mention too, because I believe he'll go somewhere else too. But Dembele would be Ousmane Dembele would be an awesome player with Klopp. Klopp with Dembele, I legit think we could see remontada in his career and Ballon d'Or levels come back to Dembele. Look, I really yeah. I believe there's a possibility of that with Klopp. But
are you gonna wrap him in bubble wrap? How do you plan on keeping this? He's gonna have to be in a cryo chamber 99% of the year in order to get those levels from him. But yes,
and Tuchel
that would be
Tuchel with Chelsea is another club that is very focused, as it seems, in the market to get Dembele. So, but the player too, I'm just gonna say this too because I wanted to put this on camera with Newcastle. I do believe a big, huge name will come to Newcastle because they need to sell a ton of more jerseys and get that global marketing that they will with a huge blockbuster signing that I believe they will get or Neymar or they will get in the space of a year Mo Salah. I believe Mo Salah, if he goes as a free agent somewhere, Newcastle would make him the most well-paid player in the Premier League. Newcastle would do that for Mo Salah. And if he leaves Liverpool, I think it's because of financial reasons. I can't see another reason why. So
I can't imagine what actual paycheck they would have to give him based on that because they just dropped 30, maybe even 40 million on Hugo Ekitike, who literally is just had his breakout season. So Hugo Ekitike, no lie, could wind up being a massive steal. He has, if you look at him, you watch him, he has every ability to potentially be world class in so many different regions. But he's not there yet, and you're already spending as much as you are on a 5-year deal, which I like. I like that they're doing this. He comes from Stade de Reims, Rem. I don't know how to say it. And he has impressed a lot of people, not, also including a certain guy that knows what likes, and that's Thierry Henry. He's impressed him to no end. So Hugo Ekitike, I mean, he is a great idea of a signing that they should be making from a building blocks perspective for the future. But at the same time, that's exactly what we're looking at when it comes to Newcastle having to secure anybody in the open market.
It's true.
Anybody in the open market.
It's true.
That's a lot of money for a relatively unproven striker.
It's true, and they're signing on potential. They're signing on. I think it's 36 million euros. The Hugo Ekitike.
That's right.
Ekitike. So just so I don't get it wrong, and he's the striker, and he's got an interesting stat with him that he is the teenager with the most league goals in the top 5 leagues. So Newcastle have their scouting top notch by getting Hugo Ekitike. My days, this is a hard name to get.
Him and hey, you ready for this? At least he didn't. Borussia Dortmund wanted him, and then you have to say Hugo Ekitike and Nico Schlotterbeck.
Oh my gosh, Schlotterbeck and Hugo Ekitike. I can't. Those are so difficult. Those are so difficult. But ballers, both of them. But ballers.
Just call him Hugo. We'll call him Hugo.
Hugo and Nico. Hugo and Nico.
Yeah. Well, he also, I believe, and I think I'm stretching here from a statistic perspective, but I think he also averages the most goals per shot. So basically, and that's across the top 5 leagues, and that's across all ages. I think it's like 0.31. So that means like 31% of the time when he shoots, it's a goal. Okay. And that beats a lot of other players out there, but it's also a pretty small sample size. You want to see that beyond a couple years. And I don't know. I doubt Newcastle will do this, but it would kind of make sense to loan him back maybe for a year.
No. They wanted it immediately. They needed it immediately.
Yeah, they spent a lot of money. So yeah, I agree with you. I think they do need him immediately as backup to Chris Wood.
No, but I just wanted to say this: another player, English player. You mentioned fast with England, Sterling. Sterling will have after this summer only 1 more year in his contract with Man City, so that is another player that I believe can be offered a huge contract with Newcastle at the end of not this season, but the next season if he doesn't move this summer with City. So it's like Liverpool.
That I could see happening.
Yeah, you see. So Salah and Sterling, both these players, not this summer, but the other summer, will be free agents. So the big contracts will come. I believe they will come. So I just wanted to with the transfers, I wanted to mention Vidal. Vidal going to Flamengo, okay? 2-year contract, okay? Palmeiras with Felipe Mel, okay? Palmeiras com Felipe Mel. And Vidal no Flamengo, okay? So that's going to be some great matches to watch. Physicality, next level. And I see AC Milan. I think they're going to get Renato. I think he's closer than ever to go to AC Milan, and Rafael Leão. Get that extension, okay? If they're getting your boy Renato to partner up with Tonali, okay? That work rate in midfield, Tonali and Renato is going to be amazing. Got to say that too. And I believe there's going to be another decision done with AC Milan between Zaniolo, I was mentioning before. Zaniolo, that there's a lot of news that he will leave Roma, but we don't know. Or Charles de Ketelaere, which for me is the ideal transfer for AC Milan this summer. For me, Charles de Ketelaere is the guy. Not Noah Lang, Charles de Ketelaere. I think AC Milan should gun for him. So
I don't need to regurgitate the Noah Lang quotes over the last few weeks about how he's the best player this, best player that. But you do you, Noah. But no, I really like the Charles de Ketelaere shout, and AC Milan is one obviously we're going to have to watch, and obviously Inter and Juve around them. But I do have to mention here a stud, an absolute stud who's still only 31 years old. Is leaving Serie A, and this was announced a while back, but it's actually happening now. And that's Lorenzo Insigne will leave Serie A and is headed to Toronto FC. And you probably say, Breton, we already knew that. Well, it's happening, meaning that the actual date is here. And this is a guy, you know, he has in over 400 appearances for Napoli. Okay. He has managed like 120 plus goals, almost 100 assists. He's the captain of Napoli, and Toronto getting him pretty much in his prime. I don't think it's that crazy to say that he's still very close, maybe on the upper edge of his prime, but still very, very much ready to contribute. I am going to be very, very interested to see how he takes to Major League Soccer. But I did need to mention that because that is a big deal, him leaving Napoli when literally any other team in Serie A probably would have killed to have Lorenzo Insigne on their roster. But the other one,
Mertens, like Napoli legends, like great players,
and they got to replace him. I don't know how you replace these guys.
True.
I know you've got Alif Elmas. I know you've got some guys
coming, right?
Yeah, but like,
expectations.
Yeah, they need to maybe invest a little more, and I don't know what's going to happen there. But I did want to bring up, you probably saw this, and over the next few weeks, it likely won't be Chelsea we're talking about. It won't be really Barca or Bayern or Liverpool. It'll probably be PSG. Why? Because Luis Campos is on his way in the door. It sounds to us like the Pochettino is gone, and he will have to fill the gaps. And from what I'm hearing, and from his history, Luis Campos isn't necessarily about to tap Zidane. He's probably going to go bring somebody he knows, and that's my guy. That's my guy. And watch out. If it's Christophe Galtier, watch out, because I think he could build a impressively perennial championship team that uses the youth to win League One every year and uses the stars to destroy European football in maybe a good way. I don't know, but I really hope that happens because I want to see it. I want to see what Galtier can do with PSG.
I think Luis Campos, by getting that role, the sporting director role, with Enter Henrique working those business too, with him on the side, I think there's a real strong possibility that they tried Mourinho at Roma. Yeah. I believe they did try Mourinho at Roma, but Christopher Galtier is the best chance for Mbappé to win the Champions League with Luis Campos too. I agree with you with that, Bretson. And something that would come with Christopher Galtier being the manager of PSG, a lot more French players would play for PSG. I know Mbappé will definitely want a French core there, and I believe that will be the case. I believe that will be the case.
And to add to that, I gotta say, start with giving a shot to Warren Zaire Emery, the French. Just a quick shout out to the French U17 team. They did win. Yeah, they played very well. They won in the end. They had some hiccups here and there, but there's so much talent. So much talent. I honestly, France, I don't know. We could sit here and we could probably spend an hour listing kids that have world-class potential in France. And I only hope one day, even if it's 30 years from now, even if it's on my deathbed, I only hope one day that I could spend an hour listing amazing American talents in the footballing world. But man, France did it.
There's a possibility. There's a possibility. Big time investment. So that you're gonna have a huge match, like the most viewed match in U.S. football history, maybe sports history, like in the U.S., man, with England versus USA after Thanksgiving, right? That might be the most watched game ever in sports.
It's gonna be.
Jeez, that's gonna be bold.
Epic.
Bold.
I remember being in Philadelphia, in Center City, Philadelphia. They shut down like I don't know, a half mile of a major street. They put up a massive screen, one of those fan zones, for the last time the USA played England, when Robert Green gifted us a goal, and we ended up tying that game, or drawing that game, I should say. Sorry, but man, 2026
Love
here in the States is going to be absolutely insane. And hopefully at that point, we'll have millions of followers and you and I will be doing fan zones everywhere and in and around the US. But there's a lot of football to be had until then.
Fuck. So if there's any transfers that we've missed out, put down below the transfer. And yeah, put a rating. Talk about that transfer. And why do you reckon it's happening? So just so we end now, we have a quick segment of underrated 11 of the season. Okay, players we think are underappreciated. And we believe they deserve a shout by being in our 11. So you want me to get it started?
Yeah. Do you want to list the 11 and then go through them, or do you want to go through them and then list the 11?
I'll defense, midfield, attack. Yeah, and then the 11. Okay. So with my defense, I'm gonna start with Lafont. Okay, at goalkeeper. Then my left back is Sergio Gomes. Next to Dan Burn, Diego Carlos, and Noff of Dortmund. All these 5 players, in my opinion, are extremely underrated. Lafont, for me, should have been the best goalkeeper in Liga this season. Okay, in the league, he had like 8 clean sheets for Nantes, and he was absolutely crucial. Sergio Gomes for Anderlecht, he's got mad assists. Okay, his goal involvements are unbelievable, and for a Spanish left back, he should be talked more. Dan Burn, if Newcastle did an amazing final run in the Premier League, it was because of that leadership at the back from Dan Burn. And yeah, Diego Carlos, like, people should talk more about the move of Diego Carlos to Aston Villa, and he doesn't get the rep that he should. So that's why he's underrated too. And no, for me, he's going to be key player for Dortmund, leveling Thomas Rui at Bayern Munich. Noff of Dortmund. So yeah, this is my defense.
That's a solid defense, and Diego Carlos is one. Obviously, we talked about when we did this earlier in the season, much earlier in the season. So I love that was your shout. And Sergio Gomez, is he originally a left back, a left wing back?
No, he wasn't.
I mean,
he wasn't offensive midfielder at Barca.
Right.
I remember watching it. Under 17. World Cup that Foden was just brilliant. Sergio Gomez was the guy with Juan Miranda and Abel Ruiz in Spain. So
I love that shout then because he's up there. He's really up there. And Lafont, thank you. I can name somebody else now, but Alvin Lafont. They also won the cup this year. They also won the cup, and Lafont. Nantes were very close to getting relegated a couple seasons ago. And then they turned it around this season, and having that consistency in the back, Lafont, who I believe is still 23. It absolutely impressive. And remember he went to like Serie A and at Fiorentina, barely saw anything because I forget who it was, Dragowski or Dragovic. I don't know. But there was a Serbian goalkeeper that was absolutely phenomenal that just kept him out of the goal. So Lafont has found a home, and I'd love to see Nantes continue to do well. So I'm going to say somebody different, but I did have Lafont. My defense is, and this is kind of cheating, my goalkeeper is Mike Maignan, right? Okay. AC Milan. I don't care if people think he's one of the best goalkeepers on the planet right now, because for the majority of that season, he did not get the credit he deserved. And I still think the impact that he had for AC Milan, especially after Donnarumma left, is insanely underrated. Okay. So my goalkeeper is Mike Maignan. My left back is Filip Kostic, left wing back, Filip Kostic, for Eintracht Frankfurt. 7 goals, 15 assists. Had an assist in the final. They won their first final in many, many years, a Europa League final against Rangers. I believe he even scored in the penalty kick shootout. My 2 center backs are kind of cheating as well, but I have to bring up Joel Matip for Liverpool, as we have a little bit this season, but he has been insanely invaluable to them from a depth perspective. And at many times he was a better center back for certain periods of the season for Liverpool, and Pierre Kalulu for AC Milan in there as well. Now, he's interchangeable for me, Kalulu or Tomori. I don't care which one you put there, but I really think Kalulu, He leads the top five leagues in percentage of dribblers successfully tackled. And then at the right wing back, I'm going to go with 29-year-old Jonathan Klaus, who plays for Lyon in League One. And he, at 29, earned his first Les Bleus call-up, mainly because he was easily the best right wing back in League One, and that's even counting a certain Achraf Hakimi and some others there. Klaus has been class all season in League One, so I felt he deserved to be there. Who dropped off? Mark Cucurella, obviously. I think he's become more of a known quantity throughout most people, and I said him 4 or 5 months ago. My love for Mark Cucurella has not shifted. I still believe in him a whole lot, but I wanted to make sure that the whole season taken into account here, these are 5 guys that have been just so solid.
I love that Kostic show. I love that Kostic show. So, midfield, I got it. Okay. So, 3 midfield. My 3 in midfield. Okay. I'm going to say Sangaré at the CDM slot because in the Eredivisie with PSV, this man was unstoppable. Most interceptions, most tackles. If Roger Schmidt did something with PSV, it was because Sangaré was the anchor in midfield, okay? So I go Sangaré. Then my other midfield, I'll go with Orkun Koksu. He is mentioned, okay? A couple of weeks, we do mention him with Feyenoord especially. Having a great goal involvement, okay, in Eredivisie. And for Feyenoord to be in the Conference League final, Koksu was absolutely key. And that man is a genius with both his feet. And for me, he definitely deserves a move out of Feyenoord, Orkun Koksu. And my third midfielder is one of the most underrated midfielders ever in the history of football. Ever in the history of football. And that's why I feel so confident to put it in this team. And it's Dani Parejo. Dani Parejo of Villarreal. That if Villarreal would have surprised the world in the Champions League, it was because of Dani Parejo. And I remember this man at Valencia, year in, year out, just being the man that made Valencia stay relevant. And the moment he leaves, the ship just sinks badly. And Villarreal is now coming up. So it's because of Dani Parejo. So, yeah.
I love that. I love that shout. I love that shout. Yeah, Dani Parejo. To be honest, it has everything to do with the media in our neck of the woods. They don't cover La Liga the same way they cover, say, the Bundesliga or the Premier League.
Got to be.
And you almost always forget, at least in our neck of the woods, unless you're following exclusively, that Dani Parejo is such a stud and so consistent. But I don't have him in my midfield. I had a feeling you were going to include him, so I kind of left him off, and I am going to go with 3 different ones. Okay. My midfield, my youngster, is going to be, and this is going to be a little surprising, it's going to be Jude Bellingham.
What?
Yes. I still believe that even though everybody sees him as Mr. World Class, I still believe he's insanely underrated. That's simple. Okay? He just really remains underrated, in my opinion. He's so big. He's so important to a second-place side, Dortmund. He already is incredibly important to what England's likely going to do in the World Cup, whether they sink or swim. And I was throwing around names like, Bruno and his impact, or Guimaraes, that is, not Fernandez, and Matteo Guendouzi for Marseille and what he's done this year, incredibly progressive. But it always came back to, like, this kid at his age was the leader in many respects of Borussia Dortmund. At 18 years old. Like, I'm just looking at it like either in 10 years' time, nobody's going to know his name because he escapes the pressures of football and retires at 25 or something, or this kid is going to be a pretty legendary figure. I just honestly believe that at 18 years old, he still doesn't get enough credit for the poise and his his ability to know what he's weak at and work on that weakness, and knows how to play to his strengths at 18. That IQ, that's not given to everybody, right? That is just not given to everybody. And so I didn't mean to spend so much time on Jude, but I knew it would be maybe a minorly controversial with you. But Jude Bellingham, I still believe, is very underrated. My next one is Marcelo Brozovic, Inter Milan. I guess he's not really underrated if he just won Best Midfielder in Serie A. And he earned himself a new deal. But I do believe, and I think you and I have agreed on this because, when you don't necessarily talk about him, it means he's incredibly effective at his job and he's doing what he needs to do. But what I love about him is that he can pop up an offense. He can make a hard tackle, get stuck in. He's insanely smart. With it, he knows how to get forward. His positioning, his awareness, everything about him is just class, and that's Croatia. That's why Croatia is probably not going to get beat by 3-0 by Austria in the World Cup. I know they don't play in the World Cup, but they're not going to get beat 3-0 in the World Cup because he's part of that midfield. My my attacking mid is going to be Marco Reus. Okay, under the radar. Under the radar. No, he's not under the radar, right? But he's 33 years old. He posted, I believe it was 13 goals, 19 assists this year. Barely a peep about him.
That's same as Messi, 13 goals, right?
Yeah, there you go. But he's third in the top 5 leagues in goal-scoring actions. He's up there with Mbappé. He's up there with Salah and Kunku, with Mueller. Obviously, I just cherry-picked a stat. But if you go to several other stats, Marco Reus is there. Marco Reus is there, and he has been. I know everyone gets worried about his injuries, right? But he has been there time and time again for Dortmund this season. And posting 13 and 19 as a 33-year-old, I could have put Thomas Mueller there, who's done the same thing, but he didn't have the insanity that was Dortmund, the revolving door that was Dortmund in terms of the medical department, and to deal with. And Marco Reus has been nothing short of class for Dortmund this season. So Bellingham, 2 from Dortmund. Bellingham, Brozovic, and Reus. My midfield.
I like that midfield. So, forwards, that trio. Okay, I'll go forwards. I'll go first. So, with my trio up forwards with Charles de Ketteler, Olivier Giroud, and Ricardo Horta. For me, all these 3 are extremely underrated. Ricardo Horta, nobody would mention him, okay, before that Portugal goal. But we did say that he was Braga's top ever goal scorer. So, he is incredibly underrated, and he will go to Benfica. Olivier Giroud seems to win Champions League. He wins he has won, he's won the Serie A with AC Milan this season, the Scudetto. And if AC Milan win the Scudetto, it's with a huge influence of Olivier Giroud, so that's why I put him here. And Charles de Ketteler, because for me, he's one of the best young talents in the world, and he needs to be put in that conversation more often. And it's because he's at Club Brugge that he isn't in that conversation. I'm saying Charles de Ketteler is as good as the best youngsters in the world. Okay, I really believe he's gonna be one of the best players in the world, Charles de Ketteler.
Wow.
For me, that's why he's underrated.
Wow. So is Ricardo Horta going to be the next? I know he's not as young as Nuno Mendes, but is he going to be the next Nuno Mensch?
No,
because he doesn't. It doesn't roll off. Your tongue.
The
same way.
When I say that a Portuguese player is going to be the next, he's going to be the best in that position, and Nuno Mensch will be the best left back in the world in 3 years. I believe that. I've been saying that nonstop, and we'll keep on saying it. Love it.
Fonzie's going to have something to say about that, but I hear you. All right. Well, my front 3, we have a completely different front 3, and I'm okay with that because I see that why yours are deserved, and mine, I think, might be a little more statistically based. I'm going to go with my left wing. I'm going to go with Martin Terrier. Stade Rennais.
Yes.
I know we all talked about Jeremy Doku. We talked about Kamaldeen Sulemana and how they were just going to tear up the wings. Injuries have kind of kept that from being a reality in a transition period for Sulemana. But Martin Terrier has been ridiculous for Stade Rennais this season. He's got 21 goals. I think 19 of them are non-penalty goals, 4 assists. At one point, to lead them to 4th place, he had a run of games where he scored 8 and 7. And by far, they were the second most dominant team from an attacking perspective, behind only one. And the one that was above them had Messi, Neymar, and Mbappe. So Stade Rennais obviously was led by Martin Terrier, and I believe he didn't get another shout. And if I didn't have him here, I'd have Rafael Leao. But my striker is Wissam Ben Yedder. I could not get out of League One because if you look at what he did for Monaco, and I get it, he scores a lot of penalties, but he never misses. And he scores wherever he goes. He really does. Any team. You look at his history, he's phenomenal. 32 goals this year, 7 assists in 41 games for Monaco. He was named Monaco's captain at some point. I don't know when during the season. And he ran it all the way through to the end. They finished 2nd in the league. And he somehow goes up here, mainly because I think he's one of those guys that could be, as he ages more, an Olivier Giroud for people, right? I believe like wherever he goes, it's going to be on a title contending top team that needs a guy as prolific as Ben Yedder. So he's been just amazing. And that I picked him over Tammy, over Schick, over Son. I know Son is a little outdated because although I'm still pissed he didn't get named for the PFA thing, but you and Carvalho talked about that. So I'm glad you guys had as much anger about that as I did, because that just makes no sense to me. But anyway, so left wing Terrier, striker Ben Yedder, and right wing is Domenico Berardi for Sassuolo. I made the mistake of not putting him in our team much earlier this season because he's been doing it all season for them. 15 goals, 17 assists. He was stunning against Inter Milan and AC Milan this season. I think they beat them both away. I think they beat them both at the San Siro or whatever it's called now. And he even, did all this. I think he missed 5 to 7 games, Serie A games this season. And he essentially averaged a goal involvement plus every match. So Domenico Berardi, I don't understand what is keeping an Inter, an AC, a Napoli, any one of these big dogs to go into Sassuolo, pick them up, put them in their starting 11, and just let them do things. I don't understand why nobody's doing it. Yeah, but just do it.
True. I get you, though.
Yeah.
It's true. So the 11, I'm going to say my 11 just so we have it. My 11 of most underrated 11 this season has Lafont, Sergio Gomes, Dan Burn, Diego Carlos, and at the right, Nof. Then the 3 in midfield, Sangaré, Dani Parejo, and Orkun Koksu. And the 3 in attack, Ricard Duarte, Olivier Giroud, and Charles de Ketteler. So that is my most underrated 11 this season.
I think my team could beat yours. I don't know. Let's see. All right, my underrated 11 is goalkeeper Mike Mignon from AC Milan, left wing back Filip Kostic, Frankfurt. 2 center backs are Matip and Kalulu. Right wing back is Jonathan Klaus from Lens. Then Loan, I should say. My midfield is Bellingham, Brozovic, and Marco Reus, 2 from Dortmund. And at the attack, I've got on the left Terrier, up top Ben Yedder, and at the right Berardi. It's fun.
I like that Berardi shout at the end. I think it does juice. It makes sense. So people, put down below your underrated 11s, and which team would win? Would my team win or would Brett's team win? So if you're listening to episode 59 until now, please do not forget to like this video and follow us on Spotify so we can go up the charts. And thank you for going bold and listening to us until now. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and thank you for going bold, people.